Yeah, a lot better than what we were in the spring for sure. Even though we didn't make the final round by one, I feel a lot more optimistic for this race versus where we were in the spring, for sure.
Why?
The car just drives way better. We had some geometry issues. We just had issues in the spring that we weren't prepared for because we just hadn't run this car on this type of track. But now with 2 days of testing, we feel pretty dialed in on what we need to make our car better. Doesn't mean we have the speed, but it means that we certainly can get our balance close, and even versus our teammates, we've got a little bit of speed.
William won here in the spring. You guys had your issues, but it sounds like you guys are better now. Do you feel like he has an advantage, or you have the advantage this weekend?
It's tough to say. I mean, there is no advantage. No past history really dictates. I mean, I went from 4 laps down in 2020 to leading the most laps in the fall. Like, it's so different race to race here, and we all know the track position is going to be huge. So we at least got the jump on them as far as that. But there's a lot of cars that can win as well. So I don't think it's just being him.
If this race still is a struggle for everybody to pass, what are the options that they can do next year? Like, can they do a different package for short tracks or something? Like, what can they do?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that whatever they do that improves the short track racing it will improve all types of racing, intermediates everywhere. I know that we love intermediates, but it can, these cars are super aero sensitive. You can't really run to the left of anyone because the air's flowing out the left. And that's typically how you pass, right? Especially here on a 1-lane track. It's whoever can get further left is good, but it actually makes your car tighter. So, yeah, I think that any developments they come up with aerodynamic-wise for short tracks, it's going to improve the car everywhere.
Considering he's starting 25th, I mean, do you look at this any differently as far as what you have to do and/or like whether you have to win or not?
No, I'm just going to try to get the best result that I can. Try to fire off and have good speed. A big thing is stage points. I'm going to try to get as many as I can, be as aggressive as I can the first couple stages to try to get some. That's really, I mean, where we've kind of lacked a little bit. I mean, we're averaging a 6th place finish over the last 9 races. Like, we're running well. It's just we're not running well in the early stages of the races, which that's hurting us.
What have you learned about the 11 car over this, last 8 races and, 9 this weekend?
Well, I knew, I told you guys back in the spring, like when we were kind of up and down winning or 30th, like we will level it out by the time the playoffs come, and we have. We've definitely found our stride. Now, I think we've lost some speed since the spring. I think the other teams certainly have caught us and passed us on the bigger tracks, but we're digging with all we got. I mean, we're trying as hard as we can. Certainly I thought, over the last 2 weeks, Las Vegas, Homestead, those are tracks that we really were dominant during the spring, and we just, we were just very average. And so now we come to a short track where I've got a ton of experience. I know what I need to do. It's just a matter of, can we get the car to respond? And so far it's been, light years better than what we were in the spring.
Does it surprise you or frustrate you, I guess, that you mentioned earlier, you're having the playoffs that historically would get somebody close to a championship?
Back in the old days, we had a 10-race championship.
Yeah.
I'd be money.
But you're fighting just to make it to the last race. Is it hard to wrap your head around?
Yeah, I mean, it is, but also this is the format in which we've got, right? We didn't finish in the top 10 in regular season points. We didn't collect any bonus points. We got DQ'd out of a race. Just a lot of taken out of races. Like, we left so many playoff points there for the taking, and we just didn't in the regular season, which is why that a 6th place average these races, only 1 race out of the top 10 is just not good enough. We have to battle from below the cut line every time a round restarts. So it's because of our regular season performance wasn't where it needed to be.
Any more conversations with Bubba about Vegas, or is it kind of over with and moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, 2311's told me to get out of the building for the next 2 weeks and to concentrate on getting a championship for myself.
Have you seen any difference in Bubba this week at all, or have you just had no interaction with him?
I haven't had any interaction with him other than just speaking to him when I pass by him and through text message. But no, listen, I trust Bubba's words. We had long conversations with him internally, and I think that he would do things different. This is not just words and PR talk. This is Bubba. You know, nobody asked him to tweet that he took a bite of humble pie. You know, that's something that Bubba's not had a whole lot to say. You know, those words in the past. I truly believe that, you know, he's learned his lesson and he would do things differently. He's young and this is part of his growth.
You've talked about in the past about getting to the championship 4 in one way was almost as big an accomplishment or bigger than, in a sense, winning the championship because of the way the format is. So if you make it again this year with all the times you made it before, what would it mean or how significant would it be based off the year and the challenges and the things that you've gone through this year?
Well, from the beginning of the playoffs, we were going to have to defy the odds. I mean, we've had more playoff points, we've been stronger, had more wins, all that stuff. You know, so I knew that this playoff was going to be tough because we were going to have to defy the odds. We know our car is not as fast as the competition's, so we're just going to have to execute them. You know, that's why I'm here to run the race, is because we're not conceding anything, and I think that we're going to show that, you know, we've got, there's nothing left in the tank after, you know, tomorrow night's race. So we're going to do the best we can. We're going to keep fighting because that's what I'm here for. You know, these opportunities are few and far between, and certainly would love to make it for 4 years in a row.
Coming to a track where you were, you know, discovered, I mean, is there any more comfortable place that you'd want to be the deciding factor in the playoffs?
Yes, unfortunately, because, you know, this is going to be kind of a one-lane racetrack. So I would rather be somewhere where we get spread out, and we can, you know, Homestead, for instance, you can really make up some different, you know, lines and stuff. But, you know, I won't be complaining if I get the lead on a restart because I'm like, you know, I'm going to have a huge advantage. So I just, listen, I love the racetrack. This racetrack is a throwback to like the short tracks where you feel like you're at your local short track when you're in the infield here. I mean, I see so many of my old late model crew guys and people that I raced against. So it's really a cool throwback as far as that's concerned. Certainly a historical spot on our schedule that, you know, always lends itself to exciting finishes towards, you know, who's going to make the final race.
How disappointed were you that you didn't do better in qualifying? I could see your eyes inside the car when you got done. You were kind of like throwing your window net off, but everybody talked about how important qualifying was here. How big of a deal it is between one spot and another, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal, but man, just as far off and terrible as we were in the spring, you know, plus the 24 being buried, we've kind of got some decent momentum. We're better off now than what we started the day. Mm-hmm. So we're gaining on it.
Any advantage that this is a day race as far as handling of your car and performance?
Yeah, it should be. You know, this track is very sensitive. When we tested it was, you know, 90 something degrees, but still there wasn't a lot of fall off. There wasn't a lot of you know, tire wear. So I think that track position is still going to be key. It doesn't matter, you know, with this package, this tire, it's not going to matter whether it's 50 or 90 degrees. Track position was even big at the test. You catch somebody which is slow, way down. So, but you know, everyone's going to catch traffic at some point. It's how can you let the traffic affect you a little less than the guy in front of you.
With the passing, you know, kind of inability and getting stuck behind somebody and so much on the line for a lot of you guys, I mean, are we going to see bumpers and things?
I won't be waiting very long on whoever's in front of me, that's for sure.
Is that what kind of race?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, everyone is going to race to the intensity that they need to, but obviously, you know, I probably will be, you know, slightly more on the aggressive side.
Do you think after what happened to Bubba, though, that the rooting and gouging might not be at the same level that it would have been before that? Or do you think that there's a message that's been sent about taking guys out? I mean, despite being on a short track, and that's, you know, par for the course.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of a retaliatory thing. It wasn't kind of a racing thing. It was, you know, they weren't racing and made contact. He, you know, turned into him. So it was like, it's just different, you know, in that aspect. And I think that, you know, when talking to NASCAR, certainly speed and the outcome of the crash is a factor in how heavy the penalty was. So I definitely think that that all weighs it. Here at this track, I mean, you're going to see guys, you know, retaliating, dooring each other down the straightaway. That's typical Martinsville. I don't see it going anything beyond that.
Do you feel like your experience, not having won a championship, that, should you get into the Final Four, that you will be more seasoned than some of those who might make it in, and that will help, having been in it?
Man, I'll take car speed over experience. I mean, yes. I mean, I know that, like, when I ran my qualifying lap, my heart rate felt lower than it should have been. I've been through this so many times that, like, I just kind of know what to expect. But again, nothing is a substitute for raw car speed. And sometimes, when you have young drivers that are going to be part of the Final Four or whoever that might be, it's also, you've seen Kyle Larson and, his first time in the Final Four, I believe, won it. And Chase Elliott, that inexperience, they don't care because they know that they're going to have another 20 shots at this, right? If anything, the pressure is probably on me, who's probably got less than a handful of shots at this left. So, it's. I'd love to say, I think experience matters when it comes to executing a race. I think that keeping your cool in situations that you don't see coming, that can get thrown your way, that's where experience really matters.
What is
Last question.
obviously you would want to go out and lead every lap and dominate, but to go into a situation like tomorrow, a little bit of your back against the wall, what is that like for an athlete to be in that type of situation?
Well, I mean, I think if you ask anyone, that's golfed with me or played basketball with me, I love those pressure putts, those pressure free throws to ice a game. Like, I like that because I feel like, you're showing everyone that, like, the nerves don't get to me, and I think I've done really good over the years kind of managing my heart rate and trying to keep it down, because you do make mistakes when you start to get excited and elevated. So I like those big situations. I really do. Doesn't mean that I've always performed my best in them, but I certainly like them because it's what makes it so exciting. I mean, when you go back and watch these races and it comes down to the final lap and who's going to get in, who's going to get out, like that's what it's about.
Thanks.